We all know that words are important, but have you ever really thought about why? And have you ever considered the impact that your words have specifically as a kingdom writer? In today's video, you'll learn more about the importance of the words you use as a kingdom writer and specifically how to use them more effectively in the work that you do for the glory of God. Hey, y'all, welcome to today's Live with Lisa. If you're new here, my name is Lisa, and I create videos that help you learn how to write and live God's way. If you want to honor God with both your life and your writing, this is the place for you. Every week, we go live in partnership with Our Given Purpose Ministries, which is an incredible ministry founded by my dear friend, Tori Slaughter, to help you grow in your walk with God and get plugged into godly community. So you can watch today's live stream on YouTube, Instagram, and on the Our Given Purpose Ministries Facebook page as well. So make sure you get connected there today. So, as I said, we are talking today about the power of words, specifically for kingdom writers. There are so many things that our words do when we use them well and effectively in our work. And I want to go through just a few of those ideas and how they are helpful for us and why we need to be intentional and thoughtful about the words we use. This is one of those ideas that I think we might overlook as writers, and it might be something that we kind of feel is a little bit obvious, but I want to prove to you today how important our words really are and all of the different things that they can do in our writing. So the first thing that I want you to know about the words you use as a kingdom writer is that words have the power to establish belief systems. Words have the power to establish belief systems. So what does that mean? It means quite simply, the words that we use as writers in all different ways, whether it's metaphors or tone, the delivery, the way that our words are conveyed, the way we frame ideas, all of these different tools that we use in our writing and in our writing capacity, they help us to describe ideas, situations, and people in ways that can either enforce truth or honestly point people away from it. We can cause people to question the truth based on what we say and how we say it. And we can influence how our readers think and what they believe based on the arguments that we make in our writing. We can do this through persuasive writing, often used in nonfiction, or we can use it in fiction as well in terms of the different characters that we present and the themes that we present in our work. So one example that I like to give in this idea is the book, The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. It's a very well-known book, personal finance book. It's been around for years. You maybe have read it or have at least heard of it. And so one thing I like to point out about that book is that Dave Ramsey is very clear in his stance about debt. He is very much against debt. And one of the famous phrases that he's known for is that debt is dumb and cash is king, right? How many of you have heard that? And so that is his way in that book of really conveying to people the idea that they want to stay away from debt. They want to steer clear of it. And he actually uses biblical principles and biblical Bible verses and scripture to back up that claim. And so there are very clear, principles and ideas that he conveys through that book, The Total Money Makeover, about not only debt, but about saving and investing, building wealth, and just getting your finances in order in general. Whether you agree or disagree with what he teaches, you have to recognize that he is attempting to persuade people to believe certain things about money. And so that's an example of what this can look like when we think about belief systems and about how we influence our readers. As writers, we want to be intentional about what we're saying, how we're saying it, and thinking about the fact that we really can influence how people believe, what they think, and we want to make sure that we're thinking through that with our writing. All right. So Tori says, yes, love Dave Ramsey. He is very clear on his stance. Yes. And that, I love that, Tori. Thank you so much for bringing that up. It's important for us to be clear on what we're trying to do as kingdom writers and on our stance, and what it is that we're trying to convey. Now, that may look different depending on what type of book we're writing. If we're writing fiction, for example, we may not have our characters necessarily tell us exactly what people should believe, right? It really probably shouldn't be quite that obvious that that's how books come across as preachy, and they can actually turn people off that way. But we may still be able to get different ideas and different belief systems across through our writing in terms of how our characters may act. For example, we may have characters that kind of we can compare and contrast against each other, and we can see how their behaviors turn out based on what they choose to do and how they approach life. We have different themes that can come across in our work, in terms of how characters may deal with the loss of loved ones, how they may deal with challenges, health challenges, and different things like that. So there's a lot of different tools that we can use to get across these different ideas. But the importance is absolutely clarity. We want to make sure that we are clear in what we are doing and why we are doing it. All right. The next point is that words convey different perspectives and worldviews. Words convey different perspectives and worldviews. This is a little bit different in terms than belief systems, right? When we think about perspectives and worldviews, this goes a little bit deeper in terms of our values, right? Our words can reveal what we believe in terms of kingdom values, in terms of biblical principles, things like how we define success, how we define justice, how we treat other people. What does the Bible say about each of those things? Those are the things that we have the ability to convey those in our writing as well. Again, we can use them more subtly in terms of how a character behaves or how they think and how they feel about certain things, or we can use them more overtly in terms of using directly persuasive language. It really depends on what it is that you want to say and how you want to communicate that to your readers and what genre you're writing in. You're going to do it differently based on if you're writing a novel versus a devotional, for example. So we want to think through that and really be intentional about perspectives and our worldview. Even if we're writing secular work, even if we're writing outside of the Christian and inspirational space genre, and we're writing a secular work, we still have the ability to convey those kingdom principles and kingdom ideas and a kingdom perspective, in terms of presenting Christian thoughts and Christian ideas as being good and being redemptive. That's something that we really want to think through as well. And so even in secular work, there is opportunity to do that as well. Again, it might just be more subtle in how that comes across. I talk about this in depth in a different live stream that I did earlier last year that talked about kingdom writing, and it defined it specifically and in terms of what is kingdom writing, what does it mean, and what differentiates it from other types of writing. And so I want to encourage you to go back and watch that live stream because it goes into more detail on some of these ideas and some of these principles that I'm talking about today. You'll get more clarity in terms of just defining specifically what kingdom writing is and how we want to approach it. So I want to encourage you to watch that live stream. I will put a link to that in the description below. All right, let's go on to the next point. Tori says, there is so much to learn about how we influence others. Yes, absolutely, Tori. And that's why I wanted to go into this live stream today, and how our word choices and how we put words together and what we do with our words really does have the ability to have an impact on other people. And so when we present different perspectives and worldviews, especially biblical worldviews, we want to be intentional about what we're doing and making sure that it is, in fact, consistent with Scripture and consistent with what we believe as Christians. So really important that we do that. All right, the next thing that we can understand about words and how the power of our words as kingdom writers is that words introduce readers to new ideas. Words introduce readers to new ideas. Now, what does that look like? That can really mean things like presenting solutions for problems that our readers have, and just giving them ideas about how to be creative in their own ways, and how to help them really to have the solutions and the ideas and inspire them to create things as well. And so I talked about this in a different live stream that I did as well, that talked about how to know when you're called to write. And one of the things that I talked about in that live stream was how you know you're called to write for God when you have solutions and knowledge and experience that speaks to a specific problem that people have. And you can write to that problem and present those solutions and ideas to people, to your readers. And that is one way that you can know that you are probably called to write for God, is you have these solutions and these different ideas that can help people with problems that they have. And so that is one thing that we can do with our words, is we can present solutions to people in a variety of different ways, in a variety of different topics. So if you're writing a book about parenting, for example, and let's say you've parented, you have maybe 4 or 5 children and of different ages, and you've learned a lot of effective parenting techniques. You would be able to present those ideas, those solutions, and those tactics and strategies to people in a book. And I'm sure there would be a lot of people that would be really eager and willing to read about that, myself included, right? We can always use help in different areas. And so, there's a lot of appeal to a book like that, right? And so you want to think through, what are the solutions that you're offering? What are the ideas that you're presenting to your readers? And make sure you understand that that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to present an idea and a solution that your readers don't have, and that they are looking for. So really important to think about that. And in terms of inspiring them to make a change, or to do something differently than they did before, and to maybe have a different approach. You can present those ideas in your book about what they could do differently in their own lives, how they can think differently, how they can speak and behave differently. And so that can be really helpful for your readers if you're looking to present a new idea, something innovative, a new way of doing things. And so that is something that your words can do effectively when you use them well. All right. Tori says, yes to the solutions and not creating more problems. Listen, because we don't need more problems, okay? Tori says, thank you for this topic and also being a solution. Well, I thank God for that. And that is definitely my goal and my prayer every time I come on live with Lisa, is to present solutions and ideas, things to help you become more effective in your writing journey. And so I am definitely grateful for the opportunity to do that, and hope that this live stream is helpful in that way. So the next thing our words do is they influence how readers see other people. They influence how readers see other people. Reading, in especially fiction, has been shown to increase empathy. Especially with fiction, there is something about us being able to put our ourselves in the shoes of another person, even if it's a fictional character, and imagine life through their eyes. And books allow us to do that. They allow us to really think through someone else's perspective, and to learn from their perspective, and to then see them differently potentially as well. And so there is something really valuable about that, and really special about the fact that we can learn how to see the world through someone else's eyes, through the writings of other people. I have absolutely experienced that with books that I've read that have been really special to me. And I know you probably have experienced that as well. We can learn about people that we might actually never have the chance to meet in real life, people that may be on the other side of the world, people who may have lived hundreds of years ago, right? People who have, lived through things or experienced things that we will never get to see. And so we have such a gift in being able to read the writings of other people, and to be able to produce work for other people to read as well. We can also present those ideas and present that work and those perspectives and help people to see other people differently based on the experiences that we've had, things that we want to share, and lessons that we have learned about our lives. And so that really makes it valuable for us to convey our stories and to write our words and to be intentional about doing that, and to really get our work out into the world, because there is a need for that. There is a need for your unique perspective. There is a need for your story, the things that God has taken you through and the lessons you have learned along the way, because you never know who will read your book and who will learn something about people, in your perspective, people in your from your background or what have you, and they'll be able to see things differently as a result of hearing your story and reading your story. So we want to think through that. That is a valuable reason to be able to write and to be willing to take that step of faith forward to write, because words have so much power in that way. We can help other people not only see themselves differently and see God differently, but see other people differently as well. So there's so many things that we can do through our words, and that our words have the potential to do when we take this step of courage and we step forward and write our stories and we release them into the world. And then I want to add this bonus point. I had 4 points that I wanted to make originally, and I want to add this bonus one, that as kingdom writers, we need to always be thoughtful and intentional with our words, because we will be held accountable for them. We want to be thoughtful and intentional with our words because we will be held accountable for them. Matthew chapter 12, verses 36 and 37 talks about this, how each of us will be held accountable for every idle word we have spoken. Now, I believe that principle and that idea applies to our writing as well. Any written words that we produce and create, we are going to be held accountable for that. And I know many of you may have heard this saying and this phrase before, that only what we do for Christ will last. And I believe that to be true, that we need to make sure that what we are doing for the glory of God is intentionally designed to bring glory and honor to Him. That the words we use, we don't put them together to manipulate others or to control them. We don't put words together to try and impose our opinions and our viewpoint on them. We put words together and we orchestrate our words, and we edit our words, and we polish our words, and we are careful with them because we understand that our words are a reflection of the God we serve, and that we need to represent Him well. And we need to be intentional with how we put words together, what we are doing, and why we are doing it, not for our own glory, but for the glory of God, and to point people to Jesus. So I just want to encourage you with that today and to challenge you. Most of your readers will never see you face to face. They will never even know where you are. They might not even know what you look like. But through the power of your words, you have an opportunity as a kingdom writer to point people to Jesus, people that you would never be able to see in real life face to face. It is an incredible power that we have through written words to be able to draw people to Jesus, to point people to Him. It is something we need to use wisely, and we need to be intentional and careful with how we use it. And so my prayer for you is that you would do that with your own work, that you would think about the power your words have. The proverb says that life and death are in the power of the tongue, that those who love it will eat of its fruit. And our words have the power to bring life, to give encouragement, and to strengthen other people as well. So we also need to be intentional with the words, not only that we speak, but the words that we write. So I encourage you to think about that today. And I encourage you to be more intentional with the words that you put together as well. So I hope that this video blessed you today. If it did, then I want to encourage you to share this with someone who could use some encouragement and to understand really the power of the words that they use. And I hope that you will think about that and meditate on that going forward. So let's go into the comments one more time. Tori says, yes, that is so true. Our overcoming our traumas and places of bondage can free others to walk in the liberty offered by Christ. Again, thank you for diving deeper into this topic. Thank you so much, Tori. And I love that. Love what you said about traumas and places of bondage, because absolutely that is a whole other topic that we could go into in depth. But when we are dealing with trauma, when we are dealing with bondage, that can actually inform the words that we use, the metaphors that we use, the thoughts that we have, the way that we present our ideas. If we're not careful, if we don't allow God to heal us and to deal with our issues, it can actually affect people in a negative way through our words. So we have to not only think about what we're saying and why we're saying it, but we need to allow God to heal us, to take us through the process of healing from our trauma and our bondage and the pain of our past, so that our words become a blessing for other people and not a burden for them. Something to think about as we close out. Thank you so much again for that comment, Tori. I pray this live stream blesses you today. I pray that it encourages you and that it challenges you to think about your words differently. Your words have more power than you realize. Make sure that you are inviting God into your process, allowing Him to heal you, and allowing Him to give you the words that He wants you to share with the world. Thanks again for watching. I will see you in the next live stream. And until next time, take care, God bless, and happy writing, y'all.